Is the product you are designing urban-based product or rural-based product?
Can someone sustain a business without the side hustle?
When you start something and you have plan B, is a clear path that you are going to fail. Money is the bloodstream of the business. That's why in the first principle of business and money is that when you learn how to generate money, to learn how to defend money. These ones, they don't teach them in school. You only found them in such podcasts.
What are those common money mistakes?
Normal people think averagely. The poverty syndrome shows you that it is not possible.
How to create an action plan in business?
If you teach your customers why they need to buy a product because of its value, they never get concerned about how much does it cost. Spending 50,000 for a training, it feels like it's a lot of money. The losses will determine whether he will in that business the next year.
There is fear to start. How can somebody overcome that failure or fear?
Many of the times, if you're coming in business, you come with a lot of expectations. And your expectations, by the way, if you try to look around, no one tells you that you will fail. And actually, any business idea you generate, you feel like you will succeed. But when you come to test it on ground, the chances of failing are higher than the chances of succeeding. How do you understand? How do you overcome that? One of the things is never fear to fail if you are willing to succeed. And this, because for instance, in the year around 2022, I ran bankrupt.
How did you survive that?
I did what I did in the start. And what I did in the start was that I was good at selling. I went back to sales. Instead of managing the team, I went directly now sales. Because I could not now manage to have a team. So I went back and did what I did in the beginning to sell my product, to sell my services.
Yes.
So if you ever ask yourself this big question that what will happen if I fail? Then ask yourself, what could happen if you consistently proceeded with your idea, maintained your idea, and it succeeds? What would happen? Failure is part of the business journey. You wake up and you feel like this idea will succeed, and you try it on ground. Things don't work out the way you expect. Back on the drawing board and do the things that can make that idea come out. I am well aware. If you look at even some companies, their products they have ever introduced into the market, and these products failed to come out. Packages. They bring a package and thinking that this is going to make the money and all that. But when they come, I remember there was some time, there is a company which came up with the wholesaler. This is something bar. And I don't know whether that wholesaler is still in the bar.
In your book, I don't forget, in your book was The Art of Selling.
Mastering the art of selling, prospecting like a pro, closing like a giant.
Yes, yeah. Mastering the art of selling. You said there are products which work for certain kind of.
Is it urban product or it's a rural product? By the way, this is a very interesting question. And by the way, to write this book as well, I asked myself, why do some salesmen and saleswomen fail to sell a product? You find like the company is investing a lot of money training salespeople, training managers, trying to create adverts, but the product is not coming out, guy. The product is not going. The product is like even the guys, when you ask the sales manager, he says, man, I've been helped. He can't explain the pressure that even the pressure is coming from the board, pressure is coming from top management, but the product is not coming out.
Yes.
Then I asked myself, where is the problem? Sometimes as innovators, as entrepreneurs, we must be asking ourselves these questions. Is the product you are designing urban-based product or rural-based product?
Same applies to start a business.
Yeah, that's why in other discussions they talk about location and all that. The location that here I'm talking about, you ask yourself, what is your target audience? Sometimes some products are designed for rural areas, not urban centers. Because there is actually in the same book, it talks about another topic, it talks about another element of where I talked about understanding the audience. Sometimes there is selling in scarcity and selling in abundance. Actually, when you sell, there is a difference, a very big shift. When you're selling in a scarcity and someone is selling in abundance, where someone is selling in scarcity, people are more to buy the product. But when you are selling in abundance, you must meet the competition. The competition and the competition gap may. And the question is, if it's a new product on market, it is introduced in a marketplace where there is abundance. There must be questions to ask yourself: do I have enough finances to fund the marketing activities? It's a big question. As sometimes businesses don't fail because the sales team is not good. The sales managers are not doing their way, their job. Sometimes it may also be an issue to deal with an entrepreneur based on the product designed and how that product is going to penetrate into the market. You said fear of uncertainty. Yeah. You see, when you start a business, there are things that happen, like risks. There are risks. Even staff are also a risk. Employing people, hey, it is also a risk. You bring someone, you trust him with all the knowledge, all of the method, all of the formulas. Maybe for those that are like doing production, the guy tomorrow wakes up in the morning, starts the same thing, and starts to compete with you when you are still struggling again, or sells your idea to someone outside there, and you are done with. Actually, I am here, even here where you are seated here. There was someone who had a business there in Kawuderi, and the guys, what they did after seeing he was making some good money, they just came and started the same thing, and they threw the guy in a pit. I don't know. We would use that word, but we would use it later. Understanding the business secrets. Any entrepreneur, any successful entrepreneur reserves certain secrets for him or for his business.
What are those secrets? Would say, I want this secret for my business. Let me keep quiet, boy. What are kind of secrets?
And the secrets are dependent on the risk of your of what may happen when you reveal them.
That's pretty interesting. You said conquering fear. It is very hard to conquer fear because you feel like if I do this, I will fail. If I do this thing will happen. So you keep in a state of fearing to start something. How can someone conquer fear?
The best way to overcome fear is to start with things that you fear most. And these things that we fear most are like, I don't have capital. What will happen if the business doesn't succeed? And because you start appreciating your capacity, that, well, Ignatius, I'm good at selling. That is my strengths. Yes. Are you understanding that? That is my what? My strengths. I'm good. I can manage finances very well. That is my strengths. And when I can connect suppliers, I can source suppliers, potential suppliers, I can discuss with them, I can negotiate for business, I can engage, I can train sales people to sell my product. That's my strengths. Now, when you understand and start from the things you have potential, where your potential lies, then you overcome those challenges where you don't have, where you are not good at. We have tried to put this all in one thing. That is the only way you overcome fear. It has been put in this book. The only way to overcome fear is by reading this book. Because when you read this book, it takes you through the journey of how you can eliminate fear. Yeah, it is a guide. A real guide includes the principles of how you can run a business. When I ran bankrupt, like I've told you, I went back and asked myself, What do I have to do?
Can someone sustain a business without the side hustle?
When you start something and you have plan B, is a clear path that you are going to fail. Plan B, this explains that you are not sure of plan A, and you are putting an element of that this, if this one is failing, because you must be ready to, you have to meet the hardest activities to make sure that you are making something happen.
Yes.
And if it fails, you see, one of the things, and this is an argument which I want to put up. Why do you think school dropouts make successful business versus the graduates? The graduates have the plan B mentality.
He says, if the business fail, I'm going to look for a job.
I will look for a job. That is where they fail. From the word go, they have plan B. They have plan B.
But these guys,
you see, in Uganda, I've loved one mag, and he's a General Sare. If they tell Sare to look for you to be, he will get him. Sare never fails in a mission. That is the mentality of success.
you said, get your money right.
Yeah. You see, the most challenge in business people is when you start seeing money coming in, you raise your expectations.
Or how coming it in the best way, getting your money right. How to manage your money.
You are, as a business person, you must be on the knowledge and in the control of managing money. Because remember, money is the bloodstream of the business.
And you can't run a business without cash.
And it means you are like a human being without blood.
How can you?
So how can you expect someone to live without blood? So that's why in the first principle of business and money is that when you learn how to generate money, then the next most important thing is learn how to defend money. When you accumulate money, every person is planning on how to get that money out of you. Either he's selling you something or void steal. If you learn how to generate money, then learn how to maintain or sustain it. When someone attains the power, the next question is to ask, how can I maintain the power? So when a businessman generates money, the next question is, how can I maintain the money? That is why they never rush to make decisions. Before you come with your ideas and you talk to this guy, you feel like your idea is the best idea in the whole world. Guy says, no, thank you. Because the person with money rebel with the power to control what is supposed to be invested in. When I generated some little money, that's when I was looking at expanding the payroll, but not looking for understanding that what will happen tomorrow when this money is not coming like how it is coming today, and how are you going to sustain the payroll? These ones, they don't teach them in school. You only found them in such podcasts by people who have tested them and have found the truth and facts about these. You see, the element of whether you will succeed is also related to how you are going to manage your finances in business. Knowing where to invest, how to facilitate activities. Because, for instance, you come even, like I've told you, there are many risks that come. When the company grows, there are people who come looking for positions, not looking for what to add on the company. They are coming looking for positions. He comes and gives you a proposal. You approve the facilitation, you approve the funds. The money doesn't reach on ground. So it is that kind of understanding that as a business person, you must be at the top alley of controlling and managing finances. Otherwise, you may have issues.
There is something when you say it is It is more than just money. Starting a business or starting a venture that becomes successful, money is needed, but it is more than money.
You see, my brother Joseph, I want to tell you one thing, that when you're coming in business, you must also know that it is not just making money. It's about how your services are going to impact the community, your customers. I remember in one of our meetings when I sat with in the current businesses which I was telling you, I sat with the production team. I told them we are going to create a product, and this is going to be laundry bar shop. It is going to be 10 times the ordinary shop. And we did it. Today, the urban shop is another thing. Now, it gives you the element that as a business, as a director, you must have a greater vision. We're going to look at managers. You don't look at money, but you must be conscious that is your product, is your service going to solve the customer's need or challenge? The same thing. That's why you come in business, tomorrow you are there, the next day you are not there.
So now we come to the main issue, the so-called smart financial habits for long-term success.
One of the things I talk about and which I practice as an entrepreneur is to know when to invest and know how to have return on investment. And if you ever come to me and propose something to do or where to invest money, the first thing, I don't look at profit. I look at time. Some investments, some businesses that we are engaged in take a lot of time. And if you're not going to be patient enough, or you cannot sustain that project until its maturity time, then don't venture in it. The mistakes that many of us do is that we are always inspired by profits, but we are not looking at other certainties or other associated challenges. For instance, you are here, you come and talk to me and you say, we want to do a partnership. But in you have no money to start. You expect me to pour all the money. Now, when I pour all the money and finance the business, who's the owner of the business? Some of the things that we think are important, like ideas, they may not be important to those who already have the money.
That's why most time somebody says, I started a business with this one and this, and after a while they kick me out of business. Such scenarios.
Some of those people you hear complaining that I started a business with so and so and I was eliminated from the business. Sometimes it's caused by where was your input? You came with an idea. He came with money to fund the business. Money remains the broad stream of the business. Is learn the skill of selling. Because the skill of selling will make your money grow. Understand how to invest. Understanding how to invest relates with a number of issues, and it takes a journey to get wider knowledge about what you want to invest. But again, also being in a position to take the risks, but calculated risks. Not just because you hear people talk about entrepreneurs take risks and you just wake up and like, for instance, you come up with an innovation. It requires $50 million to get out or to penetrate the market. And for you have around 3 million. Now, look at that gap. That's why in that book I've written, The Journey to Financial Freedom, focus on reality against confusion. Are you in confusion or about reality?
You're in confusion, not looking at reality. Because the man is more car to solve the problem.
When we understand who we are, you don't need someone else to understand you. you must understand yourself than anyone. If that is not happening with you, then it should start happening with you.
You talked of common money mistakes available. What are those common money mistakes that should an entrepreneur or somebody out there?
You don't. You see, the generation that we are in is get rich quickly. And the get rich quickly syndrome has been the cause of people running and finding in deep financial crisis because they don't see. They think they are making money within a night, one night. Money can't grow like that. Don't be lied. Money is about a process. Money is about a journey. If someone tells you, you just join us in 1 week, you will be rich. Ask yourself, if that was the thing, how many richest people do we have in this world? Accept the reality. So, if you want to avoid that, is when you start understanding that when someone comes in that angle, in that direction, know that there may be something not right. There is scaling very fast. What in our business contest? Scaling very fast. You come up, you have created a team, the team is growing, you push numbers, you are working day and night, but you have sleepless night. I tell you, when I started my first company, I lost close to 6 kilograms. I walked on the streets. And I remember one of my former staff, when he saw me, say, why can't you come back? So, the Christians understand it. When you have just bought salvation, the trials you pass through, you feel like I should go back and say, I'm giving up on salvation. The same thing when you become a businessman. The days when you have just started are not easy days to accelerate. But if you endure, but enduring with a purpose, there is when you become patient. Actually, when you read my book, I talk about that being patient is being raised.
Being patient is being raised. But when you're patient, you'll be waiting for something to come.
If you wait for something, if you are doing something about something, you wait for something if you are doing something to achieve something.
What are those businesses and financial strategies that works mostly for each and everybody?
Every business, every line of business has its dynamics. And strategies are diverse dependent on the business you are dealing in. For instance, I myself, most of the businesses I do a B2B business model. That is business to business model. Where my business sells to another is another business. The reason and the purpose of this, and the relevance of this is that you scale fast because the other business is already in place. And it has money to finance your business. Actually, what man was telling me that when you associate with those who are struggling, then you become part of the struggle. And if you are not serious, you may struggle more than they struggle. The struggle is a clear discussion for whether you will succeed because you're already there or whether you will not succeed because you're already there. If you associate more to those that are in the struggle, and your business is also struggling, then you are also giving credit to those that are already struggling. Definitely, you will end up in the struggle, and you will struggle more than they are. However, you see, when you come to the politics teaches us something. The people who want us to elevate them through the process, they show you how you are struggling, and they capitalize on that particular idea.
Turning opportunities financial growth. How to turn those opportunities into finances?
You see, as when you read and understand the nature of entrepreneurs, they are all aiming at solving a problem. And this problem can be when you are hungry and you need food. They are solving your problem. He sets up a restaurant. When you read my book, I talked about how to generate a business idea. I said take your own discovery and movement. Where you are, the people around you, the environment where you are operating from, the problems that are within the community are your opportunities to create a successful business. Someone is running out from this district, going to this district, but within the space where he is, it is where his opportunity to create a successful business, it is where it is.
That's good. You said normal versus
Hey, normal people don't operate in this way. You see, when you read the two concepts, actually that's why this book are sold in many countries. Normal people don't operate this, and in most of the communities, why people prefer getting this book. You see, when the two concepts, the grasshoppers approach and normal versus abnormal, these concepts have trended for one reason. They are based on reality, not confusion. Normal people think averagely. Why? Because what they are doing at a particular time, someone is at 25 years, is driving a heavy car. Then you are like, how possible is it that this man should have accumulated all this what? All this money. That is what we call the poverty syndrome. The poverty syndrome shows you that it is not possible. And the rich syndrome shows you that it is probably possible. So normal people compete for average results. And abnormal people compete for superior or big result.
So normal people is someone who sees somebody starting a small business. He says, let me also start that.
He's going to operate within the community, and they compete averagely. They are looking at the same opportunity. But this guy finds whatever it takes for him to be on top. That's being abnormal. He takes the biggest risks. And when things come out, he becomes happy. When things don't come out, he goes and reads and replan.
On the issue of risk, you said market risk. What were you mean when you talk of market risk?
Yeah, you might be, you are fearing about competitor. You have voted the market, but how will you control the competitor? The competitors are coming in. When they come in, will you succeed? It is about how you're going to position yourself. The market strategy that you are using. Do your customers believe in you? Do your customers trust your product? Do you connect with your sales team? Does your sales team also believe in the products that you are selling? Sometimes you find like you are a producer of a certain product, but your salespeople are also using an alternative product. Not your product. So ask yourself how you're going to survive. Isn't that financial risk? Now, you see, you should learn from those that are doing well. In banks, they never pay staffs in another bank. If it is it's a commercial bank, all staff are paid through the same what? The same bank. The same bank. You cannot say that I want you to pay my salary through the other bank. It's a that you must also trust the business where you are working from. And these are the risks about market.
How to create an action plan in business or in a venture.
Many times we talk about I would do this. But if you don't make an action plan, where there are action points, when is this going to be? How is it going to be? Who is going to do it? When do I have to evaluate? When you come for self-employment, you are going to have freedom, you do what you want, but sometimes a business can control you. You are either opening early morning and closing late. The customers are the driver to how you're going to operate again. Sometimes where my company, I get these businesses for consultants. But someone tells you we need to present this concept on Friday. So look at the time. He tells you on Friday when it is on Wednesday. And it is a concept of about 50 pages. Where you have even to make consultation. But because the customer once is he is driving you, you have also to learn how to drive your customers for their appreciation. That I thought he would give this, he would give me this by Friday, but he gave it to me on Thursday.
So when we talk on business tips, financial successes, at a certain point, you said know your finances. So some people, they know at the end of the month they earn this amount of money, they earn these millions of dollars, but how much did you spend? If you try to understand
The ground at which some businesses fail, there is a very big difference between revenue and profit. You could find like your business is generating a lot of revenue, but you are not making any profit anytime. How to avoid that? One of the things is to center on profit maximization, not revenue maximization. In my high-level sales training, I teach about how to go about profit maximization. Because if you don't teach your salespeople to sell your products, you discover that most of the companies and business people are in fight between prices. And in my high-level training, I train people that we must drive customers from price to value-centric. If you teach your customers or show your customers why they need to buy a product because of its value, they never get concerned about how much does it cost. Definitely, they are buying the value within the product, not the price of the product. Now, the mistake that we have is that our sales team try to advise us. Our competitors, their prices are here. Well, it is good to also make price survey and understand how your competitors are also performing. But sometimes you find like you are producing a better product, but selling it at a very low price. But because you are selling it at low price, you are selling a lot and accumulating a lot of money. A lot of revenue is coming in, but less profit is determined. That's why I talked about understand your finances. You couldn't be seated in a shop every day. You walk home with around 10 million. And you're so excited. But the profit about 10 million is 50,000. The challenge is that when you call for these seminars, some business people tend to be too busy, but not in the business. Spending 50,000 for a training, it feels like it's a lot of money. But the losses will determine whether he would be in that business the next year. That's why we talk about in our sales trainings, we talk about value-centric versus price-centric.
Still on finances and business, you said protect your business and build your business. I wanted to elaborate this to the person out there who is watching us. How to build a business and how to protect that business.
For a business that is growing, it will start with the initiator. For a business that is started, the vision, the idea will start with probably one or two, three people. But as it grows, it will need to have systems. And systems, these are where we are coming with departments. The sales department, the financial department, the risk and department. If you are in production, quality assurance department, that is where you are looking at now building systems that the workload that you use it to do as one individual, it is shared amongst different people, and each person is doing a purpose, is doing a specific responsibility. That every time, today, one of my customers called me and was like, Vinicius, I have a problem. And one of the mistakes that I'm seeing, the guys messed up with production. They produced a product. Because I'm not there, I found they messed up with the product. I said, sometimes that's why we hire smart people. We put the risk of mistakes to them. When you go to this company, if you are the production, you are the head of production, and the product produced has quality issues, or your quality assurance officer or manager, they will bring back the problem to you. One, you either meet the cost of all the products that have messed up. That's why the guys never sleep. So that is the element of building structures. When you come to politics, there is a political party here that you cannot easily defeat. Why? It has lines. It has structures. So you cannot build the business without what? Structures. And this political party has mastered the trade that they must have structures from the grassroots. So if you are also in business and you want a successful business, you must build the structures that starts from another side.
Another side, you have to build a structure that starts from another side. That's quite interesting. You can give your final remarks to people who is watching us at the Muka podcast and the entire world at large who is watching us right now.
If you are employed, it's not a mistake. And if you want to join the business community and be one of those that can create a difference, you are not too less. But most important, if you're joining the business community, 3 questions should come to you. 1, what are you going to offer? Which problem are you going to solve? What is going to be different with those that are already in the market? When you define those 3 questions, then you will have defined the first question. Most important is that sometimes if you want to join a business, to me, I had 2 reasons why I left the job. I was looking at security versus freedom. I wanted to have freedom. I wanted to do more than I was doing the other side. I wanted to have more better plan than the plans I would have the other side, where I would be limited on how to expand the branches, how to expand the sales team. And if you're coming in business, that could be one of the reasons. Are you running away from the job because you want to create a difference? You are looking for freedom, or you are looking at security? When you get a job, you have more security. But even today, security is not security where termination is available. You can choose whether to join business and start the struggle early enough. Sometimes it is not the reasons that we may share on camera, but the reasons behind which we share behind the camera. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All has been said: how to start a business, tips on how to manage your finances, how to manage businesses, how to manage your money. And we always promise you to inspire, motivate, and challenge. I've been your host, Joseph from Banyoro, for God and my country.